Hey there, Green Wisdom family. Today we're diving into a topic that's incredibly close to my heart, and, as it turns out, to many of yours too. Food preservation. In a world of rising costs and a growing desire for sustainable living, many of us are looking back to traditional methods, and that's exactly what we're going to explore. We're going to uncover the timeless wisdom of the Amish and Old Order Mennonite communities, whose practices offer incredible insights into self-sufficiency, sustainability, and living a truly intentional life. For years, I've been fascinated by their way of life, particularly their deep connection to the land and their traditional skills. This past summer, after 2 years of building trust and friendship, I had the incredible opportunity to sit down with an Amish woman who generously shared her family's canning practices, passed down for generations. Her approach, and that of many traditional communities, isn't about rigid USDA guidelines. It's about time-tested methods that have sustained families for centuries. As one commenter beautifully put it, "My grandparents never had a canner. My grandfather was a sharecropper and has hundreds of acres of gardens, pastures, and animals. He plowed with a mule." I say all this to say that we have gotten away from ways that were handed down generationally. It's true, we've lost touch with so much wisdom. A refreshing simplicity. This Amish woman's approach to canning is refreshingly simple. If it looks good and smells good, it's good to eat. She was genuinely surprised when I told her about modern concerns regarding shelf life and strict USDA rules. To her, these concepts are almost foreign because her community has always relied on practical observation and generational knowledge. She even mentioned having canned pumpkin that was 4 years old and still perfectly fine. A former Amish person echoed this sentiment, sharing, "I am a former Amish, and everything you have said is how I grew up canning, and I still can like that to this day. I don't remember my grandma or mom ever using a pressure canner, and we water bath pretty much anything, meats, beans, etc., and we reuse lids as well. This is the only way we've canned, and after all the years of doing it this way, we've never had any issues of it going bad or anyone getting sick." This overwhelming trust in traditional methods is a significant point of departure from modern canning anxieties. Many traditional canners were never even introduced to the word botulism until recently, and they have always trusted in methods that have been practiced safely for generations. This perspective often stems from a childhood where questioning conventional wisdom, particularly government recommendations, was encouraged. As one viewer shared, "Not following what the government says, you are more than educated, you are awake." Before we dive into their fascinating practices, it's crucial to understand a key distinction. The traditional methods observed in Amish communities, while effective for them over generations, often differ significantly from modern, scientifically backed food safety guidelines, particularly those from the USDA. This is especially true for low-acid foods like meats and many vegetables, where specific heat and pressure are required to prevent serious risks like botulism. Always consult current, research-based guidelines for your own home canning to ensure safety. Water bathing everything. One of the biggest revelations for me was learning that the Amish water bath everything, including meats, which are typically recommended for pressure canning in modern guides. This particular Amish woman has never used a pressure canner in her life. She simply stated, "We have always water-bathed everything." Here are some examples of her family's traditional practices, for instance, how they approach canning meats. Canning of meats: chicken, beef, pork, deer, rabbit, as practiced by this Amish family. For quarts, they boil for 3 hours. Timing starts once the water reaches a nice rolling boil. The heat can be lowered slightly so the water isn't spilling over constantly, but a steady boil is maintained. They add 1 teaspoon of salt per quart and half a teaspoon of salt for pints. She prefers Himalayan pink salt, but says regular salt is fine. She just felt it was healthier for her family. Canning of green beans. As practiced by this Amish family, for a quart, 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. They boil for 2 hours if vinegar is added. If no vinegar is added, they boil for 3 hours. The vinegar is believed to act as a preservative and helps keep the green beans crispy. As one person shared, "My grandmother water-bathed canned everything." She was not Amish. Born in 1869, raised on a farm. I'm now 73, raised on her canned foods. Never sick from her canned foods. Thank you for this. Canning of pumpkin and winter squash puree. As practiced by this Amish family, they treat it like applesauce preparation. Cook the pumpkin or squash in a kettle with a little water at the bottom until soft, breaking it down. Run it through a mill to remove skins and seeds, creating a puree. Do not add salt or vinegar. They water bath for 3 hours. Observations of traditional practices. Beyond the specific recipes, there are several key practices that define the traditional canning approach we observed, reusing lids and jars. This Amish woman absolutely reuses her canning lids. She checks the rubber seal. If it's still soft and not crusty, she reuses it. However, she would never reuse a lid on something expensive like meat. She'd use it on a jelly or a jam, but it's just not worth it for meat products. She even reuses store-bought pickle jars and cheese whiz lids for canning. This really resonated with a commenter who stated, "If someone thinks that reusing jars, lids, is cheap, they are in the wrong headspace, not only for canning, but I think for a lot of life in general. If it is undamaged, clean, and safe, use it. It's all about being resourceful and frugal." Headspace. She generally fills jars up to the neck. The only time she allows for more headspace is when canning soups with vegetables, where more expansion is expected. Otherwise, she doesn't really worry about it. This is a stark contrast to modern recommendations for meticulous headspace measuring. When water bath canning, there's also no need to fully submerge jars in water. She brings the water level up to the product line. This traditional method, she believes, avoids siphoning, which can cause product to get between the seal and the jar, potentially compromising the seal. She also doesn't need to sterilize jars or new lids before canning, as the boiling water during the canning process is believed to sufficiently sterilize everything. Canning pasta in soups. Yes, the Amish do can pasta in their soups, like their spaghetti soup. The key is to always cook the pasta first, often al dente, to prevent it from getting sticky inside the jar. For soups containing chicken, they water bath for 3 hours. Essential equipment. When it comes to essential canning equipment, simplicity is key. You don't need a huge investment. A good quality, heavy-bottomed stockpot is crucial to prevent scorching, especially for products with sugar content like apples or tomatoes. You can test a pot's bottom by tapping it. A dull thud indicates a thick bottom, while a ringing sound means it's too thin and prone to scorching. A food mill is another highly recommended tool, useful for making applesauce, grape juice, or tomato sauce, as it efficiently removes skins and seeds, saving peeling time. Lastly, investing in quality canning lids is important for a better seal rate. For beginners, these 3 items are sufficient to start canning without a huge investment. Water bath canning is suitable only for high-acid foods like fruits, including tomatoes with added acid. For low-acid foods, a pressure canner is essential according to modern food safety guidelines. You'll determine canning times based on the product's thickness to ensure it heats thoroughly and creates a vacuum upon cooling, which removes oxygen and seals the lid, preventing most bacteria from growing. For example, a thick pear sauce might be water-bathed for 20 minutes, while liquid fruits like pears in syrup only need 5 minutes to prevent them from becoming mushy. Pickles, due to their high vinegar content, only need about 3 minutes, as botulism cannot grow in vinegar. If you're adding low-acid vegetables to tomato products, incorporate vinegar to maintain acidity to meet high-acid requirements for water bath canning. Knowing if your canned food is safe to eat is a common concern. It's emphasized that canning rings should be removed after processing. This is because rings can rust to the jars, and more importantly, they can obscure whether a seal has failed and resealed, which would allow oxygen in and spoil the food. If the ring is off and the seal breaks, you'll see mold or fermentation, or the product will bubble and come out the top without exploding the jar. However, it's generally not recommended to taste test questionable sealed products for safety, as some dangerous toxins are odorless and tasteless. When in doubt, throw it out. A little fermented applesauce might not harm healthy individuals, but it indicates spoilage. If a jar fails to seal the first time, you have options. For products that are already a mush or sauce, like pear sauce or tomato sauce, you can re-water bath them, as recooking won't affect their texture. However, for foods like whole pears or peaches, which would turn to mush if recooked, it's advised to refrigerate them for immediate consumption. If you decide to recan, use a new jar and a new lid to eliminate potential equipment errors. Beyond the pantry. The Amish and Mennonites, recognized for their traditional lifestyles, offer valuable lessons that extend beyond canning. Their methods demonstrate remarkable resourcefulness without relying on modern conveniences like electricity. One of the primary ways the Amish keep food cool is by utilizing refrigerators powered by propane or natural gas, not electricity. Companies like Crystal Cold and Easy Freeze manufacture these types of refrigerators, often resembling older models from the 1980s. This approach allows them to have the convenience of a refrigerator while adhering to their principles of avoiding grid electricity. As one viewer commented, they had an uncle and aunt who lived off-grid and used a kerosene-powered refrigerator, finding it fascinating how kerosene could keep things cold. Ice is another crucial element. In colder climates, some Amish communities engage in communal ice harvesting from frozen lakes and ponds. They use circular saws to cut the ice and picks to retrieve it, then transport it using horsepower to specially constructed, thickly insulated ice houses. These ice houses, often insulated with styrofoam, can keep food cool year-round, with ice sometimes lasting longer than a year or two from a single harvest. A viewer vividly recalled their own experience harvesting ice from lakes and using it to preserve food, noting how the process was detailed in books like Little House and The Farmer Boy. Beyond harvesting, some communities purchase ice from vending machines or rely on icemen for deliveries. Many also use old freezers or refrigerators as unpowered ice boxes, relying solely on the insulation and ice to keep food cool. Basements also play a significant role. While not as cold as a refrigerator or ice, basements are ideal for storing canned goods and other items that require a cooler environment. Amish basements are often well-stocked, showcasing their commitment to self-sufficiency. One user from an Amish background shared how their house, built in 1912, still has a traditional brick refrigeration chamber in the basement, where food could be stored even in hot summers. Other ingenious methods include utilizing cold springs on their property for food cooling. Some homes also feature cold pantries with windows that can be opened during cooler months to allow cold air in, maintaining a lower temperature. Simple coolers are also used. In some cases, Amish families may even receive assistance from non-Amish neighbors who provide freezer space powered by standard electricity. This arrangement, though not universally permitted, highlights the flexibility within some Amish districts, often justified by its limited and specific use, and because it's not on the Amish family's own property. A different perspective on modern life. It's important to remember that these Amish methods are not aligned with USDA standards, and therefore, technically, there's no official shelf life by those standards. As I said in the video, nothing I'm going to say to you today is going to be USDA standard. It's not going to be considered shelf-stable. You follow these practices at your own risk, deciding what feels safe for your family. For any home food preservation projects, always consult and prioritize current, research-based safety guidelines from trusted sources like the USDA. However, the overwhelming sentiment from the comments, like one who stated, "I would put Amish safety advice over any governmental safety standard." The Amish have done this for centuries and lived a long, happy life. The government, on the other hand, change their safety standards every year. I will stick with Amish traditions any day. Thank you for sharing this, suggests a strong trust in these traditional methods. The motivation behind canning is crucial. For many, the primary motivations are growing produce as purely and naturally as possible, organically, and saving money. If you don't have a large garden and can't source bulk organic produce, consider whether it's truly worth the time and effort to can non-organic vegetables, as it might be cheaper to buy store-bought options. There can be skepticism about the organic label itself, as certain substances are allowed under that label, making one question the true purity of conventionally organic produce. Regarding garden size, the question isn't always how much food you need, but rather how large of a garden you can manage. Many families find their garden provides enough corn, beans, and tomatoes for the year. They adjust their diet based on what thrives each year. If tomatoes do well, they'll have more tomato-based dishes. Finally, storing canned goods is straightforward. The most important factor is keeping them out of direct light. While a cold room is ideal for retaining nutrition and preventing discoloration over years, a climate-controlled closet without direct sunlight is perfectly fine. When stacking jars, it's crucial to place a layer of cardboard or thin plywood between them to distribute weight evenly and prevent pressure points that could break the seal. You can also can in 2-quart jars, using appropriate processing times as per modern guidelines for high-acid foods, particularly for grape juice and applesauce, adjusting water bath times accordingly to ensure thorough heating. A simple bent wire coat hanger can even be used to store canning rings. This common-sense, skill-based approach to canning offers valuable lessons for those looking to embrace a more self-sufficient lifestyle. As another commenter wisely stated, "Common sense is worth far more than an education. Skills are learned with love. I love learning from tried and tested. Thank you." This journey into Amish and Mennonite canning has truly opened up a new canning adventure for me, making me feel more connected to a reliable source of traditional knowledge. I hope this article provides you with valuable insights and encourages you to explore different ways of preserving food. Remember, it's your kitchen, your rules, but please prioritize safety and consult research-based guidelines for any home food preservation projects. Let me know in the comments if you have more questions or any experiences with traditional canning methods. And as always, take care, and God bless.